Hey everybody, it is Dave, and I have yet another lightsaber design for you all. This one actually started out life as a homage to Kaneda's bike from Akira, and I had been talking to Nick over at Starfall, and he had talked about how he would really like to see a saber themed after that motorcycle. And then Borderlands 4 came out, and I got totally sidetracked, and what I had prototyped out really fit for Borderlands, so I jumped ship on that, and I think I'll come back to the Akira bike on another day, but this ended up turning into more of like a blaster from Borderlands themed kind of lightsaber. I rendered this with their kind of like the closest to the Borderlands 1 aesthetic on the weapons, where it's real sketchy and cell shaded, and they've kind of shied away from that a little bit in the most recent game, but it's fun, and I like that this is just completely nonsensical. I can hear the people in the comments screaming about this would not be fun to twirl or spin around, and yes, you are correct, this would be a nightmare to do any kind of acrobatic moves with, but I don't really build lightsabers for that, so especially not this one. But it was fun. I enjoyed it. It's a very hefty saber. It's very large. It doesn't really make any sense in a lot of ways, but it's got that kind of weird wasteland apocalypse aesthetic. For people curious, I made this in Shaper 3D, and then I painted it in a program called Nomad. Both are on the iPad, and I would highly suggest both of them. Shaper is a great way to get into CAD, and Nomad is great for painting. Yeah, I don't know what else to say about this one, but if you would like to stick around, I am going to make a little guide on how to assemble it, because this one is kind of a little bit tricky. It's kind of like a puzzle, and there's a lot of components, so why don't we go over to Shaper, and I will show you what I think is the best way to assemble it. So here we go. It's got the standard. I always leave a cavity through the middle if you want to install like a steel rod in there. I do that for everything I build, and it adds weight and structural rigidity. And I think it just makes the whole the piece feel more quality overall, because you get some extra weight from the metal. There is an emitter shield on the outside, which is one complete separate component, which lifts off, and you can see there's little slats on the inside right there, and those are meant to interlock with the back of, it's not really a switch area, this part right here. It'll slide in there. You could glue, I would slap some glue right there, and then on the side of the actual emitter, there's two more, and it helps give the whole piece kind of rigidity, like it'll all keep it together. And I would recommend installing the emitter shield first before the emitter, because the slats will only fit from the bottom of the emitter. So yeah, there's those little cutouts. You cannot slide it from the top. And something else to watch out for is the two little tubes, or like wires on the front. Install those into the emitter shield first, and then install the whole thing into the main body. I know that sounds kind of weird, like this. Now you can remove it up, and it'll peg down into those holes in the there's like an electrical component that hangs off the bottom of the saber. If you don't do it in that order, you're gonna have problems, and if you glue it, you're gonna be real mad. And you can't be mad at me, because I'm showing you right now, but see how if you lowered it down, it would slot in? That's what you want, right? Because if you put the emitter shield on first, you're gonna have to try to fit the two. It just won't work. You're gonna break something, and it's gonna be bad news. So just don't do it that way, and don't glue it into the bottom first, because then you won't be able to get the emitter shield on. So yeah, I apologize for this one being a little complex, but it was the way to do it. Midway through the hilt, there is, right here in that electrical component, there's a peg, and just slap some glue into the hollow space there as you're assembling the whole thing. Excuse me, I'm still coughing. I think I'm getting wrecked by allergies. So yeah, in my personal opinion, I would assemble everything and leave the pommel for last. Yeah, it gives you a little wiggle room if you make a mistake. The grip is fairly straightforward. It'll just peg together, and with the little keys. All the keys are non-directional, so that'll let you rotate them around a little bit. Yeah, that's about it. You could leave the emitter for last too, I guess, if you wanted to. I'd leave the emitter and the pommel off, and that way you're not. Both of those pieces are kind of capstones, so once you glue that in, you're not taking anything apart anymore. But if you leave those free, you get a little bit of wiggle room. That middle coupler right there is sandwiched between the two halves of the that upper array of the hilt assembly right there, so that'll just hold together pretty easy. Trickiest part's just going to be the hoses and the emitter shield. I think everything else will be pretty easy. The reason I do stuff like this, if you're wondering why did you make this so overly complex, for people that like to paint, it makes it much easier and you don't have to mask everything off. You can paint your components separately and then glue it all together. Here you go is what I'm talking about. You're not going to be able to put the emitter shield on if that wire is there, right? The cable. So put the cable into the emitter shield and then lower the whole thing down into the body. And if you try to do that, you're just going to break either the cable piece or the emitter shield or all of it. Don't do that. But yeah, that's the way to do it. Yeah, that's about it. I'm trying to think of anything else. Yeah, I went with this one. Would you guys want to see any of the other gun manufacturers from Borderlands? I thought Jacobs would be really fun. I like that Old West kind of feel they have. Or I can't remember, sort of the V, the company that makes the real kind of like, I think it's like Vladistad, something like that. But they make the real kind of like AK-47 Russian looking guns that are very realistic looking compared to everything else. It's like a space blaster. But yeah, on this part on the bottom, you could leave the seal for last, or you could glue those two components together and then finish off the build by gluing that into the grip. It's kind of dealer's choice on that one. Yeah. What
weapons manufacturer from Borderlands would you like me to see another?
All right, one more time. I got this. What manufacturer would you like to see me design another hilt for? There we go. That was what I wanted. But yeah. And would you be interested in a Canada bike hilt? Because I think I'm going to go back to that. I started and I liked it, but it got it was too industrial and it wasn't racy enough. So I kind of like, it just didn't have speed, like I wanted it to feel fast and it was a little too clunky and industrial. But yeah, let me know if you like this. If you hate it, let me know too. And thank you for watching this long, and I'll see you in the next one.